Hey guys, I'm going to do a quick recap here. Or not recap, but more specific video. People make statements like, well, what am I supposed to do next? And I don't know what to do. I just got involved in all this. When people come into our country and they want to become citizens of the United States of America, they have to learn things, right? They have to learn. Well, they should have to learn things. One of the things they need to learn is, let's see, they need to swear to uphold their allegiance to the United States of America. So one thing I just want to do a quick thing about is, what are your rights? If you don't know what your rights are, you've probably already lost them. The reason I say that is because if you expect your captor to know your rights and protect them, then you're crazy and you have Stockholm syndrome and you need to study and learn about what that is. Your captor is never going to tell you what your rights are. That is your responsibility. So for anybody who waves an American flag or has a stake in the United States of America, I want to challenge you to go out and learn what your rights are. Again, your captor will never tell you what your rights are. So learn the United States Constitution. Learn what your rights of free speech are. Learn what your right to keep and bear arms, what that means, to keep and bear arms. That includes felons, right? That includes anybody who considers are regarding their weapons charges. How can it be that our United States Constitution gives us the right to keep and bear arms, and that when we actually exercise that right, we end up in federal prison? This is what I do not understand as to why more people are not rising up to protect people like the Bundys. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I was outside doing chores, so I was a little bit farther away from my Wi-Fi. At any rate, that's why I cannot understand why more people did not go and stand with the Bundys. Every time people get upset about what they did, the question we need to ask them is, were they within their constitutional right? And if they were, regardless of how we feel about what the stand was that they were taking, we as Americans have to protect them. We have to unite and stand with other principled people who are fighting for their rights. Know what your rights are. If you don't know what your rights are, you don't have any rights. You truly have no rights. Understand your rights against unwarranted searches and seizures. Understand what that means so that if you end up getting pulled over and an officer says to you, "Can I search your car?" your answer is to be, "Not without a warrant." Not without a warrant that I can look at. I remember watching a video that Myron did up at Standing Rock. It was at the very beginning when they took his drone away that he had flying over the reservation. They pulled him over, they removed him from his car, they searched it, they found the drone, and then they released him. They had no warrant. He asked over and over again for that warrant. This should be a really big deal to other Americans. If they can do this to one person, they can do it to us all. That's what people don't understand about our constitutional rights and why we need to unite and stand together when these things happen. If they're taking away the rights of the people, I don't care if you agree with what Myron is doing out at Standing Rock or if you disagree. The bottom line is, when they searched his vehicle, they had no warrant to show him. They wouldn't answer his questions. This was a couple months ago. They were incredibly disrespectful to him. They stole his property. That's theft. I don't care if you have a gun and a badge. It does not mean that you can steal other people's property. You guys, we have to pull our heads out of this whole mentality that we're so thankful when the police don't completely beat us up. If they're taking away your rights, they are completely beating you up. Understand what your rights are and then start living freely within them. That's one of the easiest first steps that you can take to start becoming a true American, a proud American, an American that our founding fathers would have welcomed into this country. The first thing you can do is start living within your rights. And then when your rights are violated, call the police officers out for violating them and stand with other people who are also having their rights violated. This isn't about activism. A family member recently said to me that, guys, I've been asleep my whole life. I'm not an activist. So the only person I'm a threat to is a tyrannical government. And the only way I'm going to be a threat to them is if I know and understand what my rights are and I live within those rights. And if I have people around me who are willing to stand with me and help me protect my rights and the rights of my children. Because once we're gone, who's going to protect these rights for our children? You guys, I don't think that it's crazy for me to believe that in my lifetime that we will see some really severe imprisonment for people who live within their rights in the Constitution. Also with Christians, I think we're going to see that in my lifetime. So now is the time to start figuring out what your rights are, because they're already being violated. Every day your rights are being violated. And it's not just about this prideful mentality that I have rights, you need to obey and honor them. If we don't have our rights, then we're only one step away from prison, right? One step away. If you have no rights, anything you do, they can basically deem you a criminal. That's really scary. So, and it's happening to our families, to our friends, the people we care about. We're seeing them, people being killed. It's absolutely crazy, the things that are going on. And burying your head in the sand, all that does is cause you, one, to abandon your post, as in your birthright as an American, but two, it puts those who were counting on you for protection in jeopardy. It puts your children in jeopardy. It puts your neighbors in jeopardy. Obama once said that if you mess with one Muslim, you mess with all Muslims. Well, I want to make it more broader than that, President Obama, because Muslims are not the only ones who can become Americans. So I want to say, if you mess with one American, that you would mess with all Americans. That goes for Joe Robertson, Schaefer Cox, Jeff Weinhauser, Skylar Barbeau, Ammon Bundy, Ryan Bundy, Pete Santilli, Josh Burleson. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on of political prisoners that we have right now. Some of your neighbors are being wrongfully arrested and wrongfully incarcerated, and you need to learn about that, and you need to stand with them. There's no greater love than he who lays down his life for his neighbor. Lay down your life for your neighbor. At all cost, stand up for the people's rights, but first learn what your rights are. So learn your rights and live within them. Easy peasy, right? And then when your rights become challenged or taken away, speak out. Let people around know so that they can unite with you and stand with you. And we can maybe turn some of this nation around and get our government back to where they belong, which is off our property, out of our life, out of our businesses, out of our parenting. They need to get back to the confines of the Constitution. They need to protect our borders, our commerce, our trading. They need to get out of our homes is what they need to do. And that's only going to happen if more and more people unite and tell them no more. So we don't want to do anything unlawful. We're lawful, law-abiding citizens. The supreme law of the land is what dictates what we can and cannot do. And we're principled people. So, you know, this shouldn't be that difficult of a thing. I'd love to see the church rise up, because most of them are so principled that if they could become principled and sacrificial altogether, then I think we could really do some good in this country. But it's going to take more good people uniting and telling them no more to do that. So let's get her done, guys. Oh, and pray for Carol Bundy. I haven't heard anything in the last couple hours, but she was in a wreck, and she could use help, I believe, with some medical bills. If anybody has a vehicle she could use for a while, that would be awesome. But it sounds like she is at home recovering now. So that's all. Have a blessed day, guys. Know your rights. Study your Constitution.